Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name is Lefebvre, and today I'm doing something completely different and fun, hopefully. I am challenging myself to create something beautiful with my most inexpensive watercolor supplies. So let's jump right into the challenge and start. Okay, so first let's go through the materials that I dug up. I believe the cheapest paper I own is this Canson Watercolour XL pad. It is cold pressed, but based on the size, and there are 30 sheets in here, and I believe when I bought it, which was a long time ago, the price might have been $15 or $20 divided by whatever the paper, each paper would cost kind of thing. I believe this is my cheapest. And it's also fairly big, so I want to work on something. I cut it in half to use it, but this is my cheapest paper, so we're going to work on this today. As for paints, I have a few options, and I think for this painting, I want to incorporate as many of these inexpensive watercolor materials that I can. So the first paints I have, which are by far the cheapest, these are dollar store paints. They are those cakey, chalky watercolors that you give your kid. And they are not great quality, but we are going to try and incorporate them somehow into this painting. Next, I have this Prang 16 watercolor set, which I've used in a video from like a couple years ago, and they're not bad. I actually quite like them. So this is another paint that we will be using. And then lastly, this Faber-Castell 24 pan set that I got from Stationery Pal, and it is $15.70 USD, which is very inexpensive for a 24 set. And we are going to use these as well. And then as for brushes, we are going full dollar store brushes, my friends. This pack was $2, and then I had a pack, I don't even know where the rest of the pack is, but they were like $1 for like 6 of these. So we're going to be using these. And you know what? I used dollar store brushes at the beginning, so it's possible, but that's what we're going to be using. Okay, so first I am just going to play around on a sheet. I cut one of the big Canson sheets into 2 so I could play around and just test things out to see how they work first, and get a feel for the brushes and all that stuff before I jump into a painting. So let's start playing around and swatching. Okay, so here are the final swatches. They're all dried. The dollar store swatches are definitely very low quality paints. You can see how kind of granulated they are and chalky. And if you rub them, it definitely comes off on your finger a bit, which is not a great sign. The Prang watercolors, I actually don't mind these. And like I said, I used them in another video. They're not bad quality, especially for like a really cheap beginner paint. They are quite vibrant and kind of kid-like, but you can definitely do some mixtures to make it a little bit more muted to achieve a color palette that you like. And then lastly, we have the Faber-Castell. These aren't too bad. They are a little bit more opaque and they do come off if you rub them. So again, not great quality, but some of these colors are really beautiful. I'm gonna try and find a way to incorporate not all of the colors, but all of the paints, the different paints into a piece. I think the only thing from this palette that I like is this pinky purple one, which is separating colors, which is weird, but I kind of like it. So I might just use just that one color from this set, and we'll see what we can come up with. Okay, so I've cut my Canson paper into smaller pieces just because I didn't actually want to work on a huge piece. And I feel like looking at these swatches, a lot of the colors I really gravitate towards are like this pinky purple, some of these purples, and the blue. So I'm thinking of doing like a blue floral piece and then using some of the greens from the Prang set to mix for leaves. So let's just do it. So I'm starting with a beautiful blue from the Faber-Castell palette. And I have to say that this round brush from the dollar store is actually not bad. Like, it's working quite well. I wish the other brushes in that pack were different size round brushes because this is not bad at all. I mean, I know in the long run it won't last forever. It's not great quality, but to paint with, it was very easy. So I'm just creating the small cluster of little blue flowers just for fun, and then add some dark blue in the middle. And then I wanted to try to use different palettes, but so far I'm just kind of sticking with this Faber-Castell one. And I decided to go for some cute little pansies. I love painting pansies. But while I can tell that these paints are not great quality, they're still workable. And that's the point, right? When I first started painting, I was painting with my cheap Artist Loft palette, which is somewhere in my kids' playroom, or else I would have used it for this video because that was a very cheap palette too. But these paints perform very similarly to those. So that's what I started off with, and dollar store brushes. And that's the whole purpose of this video, is to try and show you that you can still create things with cheap supplies. Now, it can get quite frustrating at times. I would say it's hard to follow a tutorial, like some of the things that I do with these supplies, because if we're doing, layering and stuff, when you have cheaper paints and cheaper paper, that first layer will lift up underneath. I'm thinking of doing a comparison video between cheap and expensive supplies just to show you where it differs. But if you're just learning, and playing around and just wanting to use color, use whatever you can afford. And that's the thing, is you can still create beautiful things with, awful art supplies. No, these aren't awful. The dollar store ones are 100% awful. The Prang set, honestly, is probably the best out of all of them, in my opinion. The Faber-Castell has a great variety of colors, but I like the way that these Prang ones, that they bleed into each other and the kind of way that they react. And also, even though that they're pretty bright, vibrant colors, you can still mix them and mute them and create a whole new palette. So I definitely suggest, if you can get your hands on one of those, or like the Crayola ones, just do it. But yeah, that's the whole purpose of this video. And I actually really like how this piece turned out because it's pretty and it was like no pressure and it was fun. And yeah, so keep in mind, if you're just starting out, use what you got. But once you start really get into these tutorials and stuff like that, just, keep in mind that when you are using cheaper supplies, it will be more difficult in certain paintings and different aspects. But to begin, just play around. I'm probably just repeating myself. Work with what you got. So I'm just going to leave you with the rest of this painting and show you the finished product up close after, and I hope you enjoy it. So there you have it. There is the finished painting up close, and you can definitely see some of the textures because of the inexpensive paints that I used. It almost has this granulating kind of texture, which some expensive paints also have. So if that's your vibe, maybe cheap paints are great for you, but they can definitely be reactivated with water, which is not necessarily a good thing because it could be ruined very easily. So while it's not very high quality, I definitely think I was able to create something beautiful with cheap supplies. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it, and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram for even more. Have a great day, guys. Bye.